What would you do if you were a young student who suddenly found millions of dollars had accidentally been credited to your bank account? Play dumb and go on a whopping shopping spree, of course. At least that's what Christine Jiaxin Lee did for years before Australian police finally caught up to her. Her bank accidentally gave her $3.4 million, so she spent 4 years doing this. On May 4, 2016, Christine Jiaxin Lee was getting ready to board a flight home to Malaysia when Australian authorities stopped her in her tracks at Sydney Airport. It was the end of the party for the 21-year-old, who had managed to blow millions of dollars that didn't even belong to her. Lee was arrested and charged with dishonesty offenses. It turns out that, years ago, her bank had accidentally credited her account with a hefty $3.4 million overdraft. And the luxury-loving student had been living the high life ever since. Before her incredible windfall, Malaysian national Lee had been studying chemical engineering and living a typical student lifestyle in Sydney, Australia. But in 2014, one peek at her bank balance was to change her life dramatically and make her rich beyond her wildest dreams. Thanks to a major banking glitch, a 19-year-old Lee quite unexpectedly discovered that a multi-million-dollar overdraft had been credited to her Westpac account. It seems the mistake was actually made back in 2012 when Lee first opened the account, but she claims that she didn't discover it until 2 years later. Many people in the same situation might have chosen to report the apparent error to the bank. But it seems that Lee decided not to let Westpac know about the millions of dollars she suddenly had at her fingertips. Instead, she decided to take full advantage of her new wealth. Over the next 2 years, the young student blew a clean fortune on high-end accessories and luxury fashion. The monster spending spree would see her splurge a colossal $2.4 million in 1 year alone. In court, it was revealed that Lee had indeed spent most of the multi-million-dollar fortune on crazy expensive designer wear. What's more, the fashionista reportedly siphoned the remaining $1.3 million into several bank accounts via cash transfer to keep her fortune hidden. After hearing of the young woman's extravagant purchases, the court magistrate said, "That's a lot of handbags." Lee's accommodation might have had something to do with the disappearance of all that money too. The young student certainly hasn't been slumming it. Lee is said to have been living in a plush apartment in Sydney's coveted Inner West region. The residence, located on the city's lively Ryder Boulevard, is no average student accommodation. In fact, the swanky sub-penthouse apartment is estimated to have cost Lee $780 a week, although it did offer her gorgeous balcony views over Sydney's iconic Harbour Bridge in return. After her arrest at Sydney Airport, Lee was charged with a mouthful of offences including dishonestly obtaining financial advantage and knowingly dealing with the proceeds of crime. But, as it turns out, it might not be all that easy to prove that the shopaholic committed any crime at all. Court Magistrate Lisa Stapleton said that if the bank were found to have credited the money to Lee erroneously, then she didn't take it from them. They gave it to her. And of the cash spent, Stapleton further noted that it isn't proceeds of crime. It's money we all dream of. While Lee was granted bail, her efforts to leave the country before her arrest have made her a flight risk in the eyes of the court. As such, the young student is living under strict bail conditions which include twice-daily check-ins with police. Lee is also forbidden from entering all international airports and cannot make any passport application. Furthermore, she has been ordered to remain with her boyfriend Vincent King in his Rhodes region residence while she awaits her next court hearing on June 21. King, who has been in a relationship with Lee for a year and a half, has said that he was completely unaware of both his girlfriend's million-dollar fortune and her lavish spending habits. In fact, he claims to have been blissfully ignorant of the whole affair until Lee called him from jail. When reporters filled him in on the financial details of the case, King replied, "That's big money." The prosecution alleges that Lee knew the police were trying to contact her about the money and that she had also obtained an emergency passport in an effort to flee the country. Lee told the court, however, that she only applied for the passport to replace the one she'd lost. She also maintains that she was simply trying to head home to Malaysia to visit her parents. Lee's mother was spotted entering the courthouse with King, and the pair sported surgical masks in an apparent attempt at anonymity. But her daughter's release from custody has been pretty bumpy so far. When King initially arrived at Waverley Local Court with the $1,000 bail money, police had trouble confirming his ID. Proceedings were further delayed by a spelling error in the bail document, and Lee was forced to spend the night in jail. Then, when she was finally released on bail the next day, Lee was immediately arrested again by immigration officials. Authorities claimed that the young woman had violated the conditions of her student visa. Lee was subsequently detained in Villawood Immigration Detention Center. Even if no criminal wrongdoing is proven, Lee will still have to pay Westpac back the millions she has spent over the last 4 years. And of the $3.4 million withdrawn, police have said that only about $1 million has been recovered, which still leaves Lee with a whopping bill of $2.4 million. At the time of her arrest, Lee had completed 3 of the 4 years required by her chemical engineering degree. It seems that, at some point, the student decided to defer her final year of study, perhaps finding that her studying was interfering with her shopping. But with the possibility of a multi-million-dollar bill to pay back, it looks like the big spender had better hit the books again soon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.